Hi, my name is Sarnaja and you're watching Bring Security. Today we're solving Linux Fundamentals Part 1. It is a basic room. Let's get started. Let us join the room. It is a part of the pre-security pathway. Yes, we are learning about networks and operating systems. Okay, first we have introduction. Welcome to the first part of the Linux Fundamentals series. You're most likely using Mac or a Windows. They are both different visual design and how they operate. Just like Windows, iOS, and Mac OS, Linux is another operating system and one of the most popular in the world, powering smart cars, Android devices, supercomputers, home appliances, and enterprise server, and much more. We'll be covering some of the history behind Linux and eventually starting our journey and we'll see running your very first command in an interactive Linux machine in the browser, teaching you some essential commands used to interact with the file system, demonstrate how you can search for files and introduce shell operator. Check. A bit background on Linux. Where is Linux used? Linux is a lot more intimidating to approach because of the terminal. There is very limited GUI, unlike Windows. That is why it is a bit intimidating at first, but it is fun to use once you get your hands onto it. Everybody says that, right? Both variants have their own advantage and disadvantages. For example, Linux is considerably more lightweight, and you'd be surprised to know there's a good chance you've used Linux in some or the other way every day. Linux powers websites you see, car entertainment control panels, point of sales POS systems such as checkout tills, and registers in shops. Critical infrastructure such as traffic light controllers or industrial sensors. Flavors of Linux. There are different types. For example, Ubuntu and Debian are some of more commonplace distribution of Linux because it is so extensible. It is open source and people keep contributing and new versions and new updates and new forms of Linux keep coming. Ubuntu server can run on systems with only 512 MB of RAM. Research. What year was the first release of Linux operating system? Let us see that. It was 1991. Let us start the machine. This room has Ubuntu Linux machine that you can interact with. We are going to start it. This is the details and check. Running first few commands. This is what our terminal will look like. And first we are going to see echo and who am I. Echo is output any text that we provide, whatever we write, the terminal is going to write it back at us. And we have who am I, find out what user you are currently logged in as, your admin or any user that you have particularly created in the particular system. Then yes, let us see echo brewing security. It just said that back. Who am I? You're TryHackMe. All right. Then next we did this. If we wanted to output text TryHackMe, what would the command be? It will be, let us try to give it without string sense. Most probably it will output that as well. Yeah. What is the username of who you're logged in? It is TryHackMe. Next, we are going to interact with the file system. So far, we've only covered the echo and whoami commands, not all that useful when you consider things that we need to do, including navigating the file system and write to the file as well. This is what the Linux file system hierarchy looks like. We have the root user, and we have these folders, home, user, etc, root, opt, library, boot, sbin, bin, var, and much more. And users have these particular folders. var has these folders. It has system logs, cache, temporary files, things like that. This is the system hierarchy of a Linux system. We're gonna see some basic commands that we can use to interact with the system, that is ls, cd, cat, and print working directory. I thought it's present working directory. Never mind. All right, let us see ls, which all folders we have here. We have access.log. Let us see what is that access.log. We have ls command. It has 4 folders and access.log file. We use cd to go to folder 1. Now in Linux systems, folders and directory are used interchangeably. They are the same thing, but it's just the way of saying. Usually, when we talk about terminal related things, we usually say directory, and when you are using a GUI, you say folder. You can do that interchangeably. It is not something different. It's just how people say it. Then we also use cat command on the access.log file. We never read logs like this, or else we will go crazy. We will see print working directory, and we are in the folder that we changed directory to. Listing out files, we did ls, and change directory, we did cd. Then we did ls in pictures to see what and all is there. Let us see what is in there in the folder. It does not display anything, means the folder is empty. Let us use this command ls with al or list all. Say la or al, I think is fine. Outputting the contents of the file, we use cat command. Cat command originally was used to concatenate two files. That means adding the content of the second file to the first file. But it is widely used today to even print the things that are present in the file that you want to read. Now let us go back here. Cd with dot dot. Dot dot is used to return to the parent directory. And let us go to cd folder 2 and do ls. Still nothing. We do cd. We can also navigate through slash. Let us just keep it to dot dot for now. We go to cd folder 3. I think most of them are empty. We can just move forward. And cat command we already tried on the access.log. So yes, you can use cat command to output the contents of the file within directories without having to navigate to it using cat and the name of the directory. Like using the forward slash, we can directly go to the place. If we know the exact location, we can just use the cat command with that. Then we have the pwd again. Okay, uh, in case you don't know the location, you can you can find the location using pwd, and then you can use that with the cat command. Alrighty. We already know that we're in documents thanks to our terminal, but at this point in time, we have no idea where documents is stored so that we can get back to it easily in future. I have used the present print working directory command to find the full file path of this documents folder. We are helpfully told by Linux that this documents directory is stored at /home/ubuntu documents on the machine. Great to know. Now in future, if we find ourselves in a different location, we can just use the cd this to change our directory to the documents direct cat and everything. Like you can either be in the particular directory and access the folder, or you can just give the entire path to that particular folder or file, and that way you can find it out. On the Linux machine, how many folders are there? Four, right? Yeah, correct. Which directory contains a file? Which directory contains what is the contents of this file? Which directory contains? Okay, we need to find which directory contains a file. We didn't check the last folder, and the last folder had the file. We're gonna do cat command note.txt, and it says hello world. Okay, over here we'll say folder 4, and here we will say hello world. What is the cd command to navigate to this file and find out the new current working directory? What is the path? Okay. Coming to task 4, searching for files. Searching for files, we can search using find. What does find do? Is a fantastic in the sense that it can be used both very simply or rather complex depending on what it is you want to do exactly. However, let's stick to the fundamentals first. Take the snippet below. We can see a list of directories available to us. ls, desktop documents, pictures, these 4 things are there. Now, of course, directories can contain even more directories within themselves. It becomes a headache when you're having to look through every single one just to try and look for specific files. We can use find just to do this for us. If you remember the file name, we can simply use where the command will look through every folder in the current directory for the specific file. So we can over here we'll go back to the parent directory. We will say find hyphen name note.txt, and it returned this, meaning the note .txt is present in the folder 4. Find has managed to find the file. They used it for passwords. It turns out it located in folder 1 password.txt, but let's say that we don't know the name of the file or want to search for every file that has extensions such as .txt. For example, if you're analyzing a malware and you want to directly access the particular logs that are present in the folder that you found out of the malware, so you can just use .logs or the particular log file extension and use a star because you do not know the name. If you're particularly searching for some file that you saved, you would know the name. So that is why these kind of things are useful. We will always try to relate all the concepts that we learn and put it into security perspective, like how it is going to specifically benefit us in the field of security. So we're going to do find hyphen name star dot txt. For here, we're just going to see that. And we have node.txt. We can also do that for .log because you also have access.log. Find has managed to find everything that you wanted to. Now we have grep command. Another great utility that is great one to learn about is the use of grep. The grep command allows us to search the contents of files for specific values that we are looking for. For example, the access logs of a web server, in this case, the access.log of a web server has 244 entries. As we saw before, we cannot actually sit and read all of that. What are we going to do? WC, using WC to count the number of entries in access.log. WC means word count. We are going to do WC. I think we'll have to, no, we are in the correct directory. WCL access.log. We have 302 entries in our access.log file. Using the cat command isn't going to cut it too well. Let's say, for example, we want to search this file to see the things that a certain user IP address has visited. Looking through 244 entries isn't at all efficient. Considering we want to find a specific value, we can use grep to search the entire contents of the file for any entries of the value that we are searching for. Going with the example of a web server's access log, we want to see everything that the IP address this has visited. I don't think we will have the same contents in the file. See, we found nothing. Means this particular IP is not there. Now, there is a high chance that this write-up is older and the Linux machine is newer. That is why it does not have same things as written on the write-up. So we need to mess around and find what gets us through. Okay, let us see cat access.log. Okay, we have an IP. Let us try to find it. Very messy process, but we can't find it. This looks like an IP. Let us search. It says 3.18.18.132. Use grep on access.log to find the flag that has prefix of thm. What is the flag? Note the access log file is located here in the directory. Okay, now we have to find the flag. Okay, let us run the commands again. Hit ls. We can still use it. Let me first clear everything so we can see that on the top. Let us say grep thm access.log. We have thm access. And I still haven't found what am I looking for. Coming to task 7, introduction to shell operators. Linux operators are a fantastic way to power up your knowledge on working with Linux. There are a few important operators that are worth noting. We'll cover the basic and break them down accordingly to bite-sized chunks. First, we have and, you have double and, then we have this right angled arrow, and we have double right arrow. What does this do? This operator allows you to run commands in the background of your terminal. This operator allows you to combine multiple commands in one line of your terminal. You can say and. Do this and do that. This operator, it is a redirector, meaning we can take output of the command. For example, we printed things over here, right? We used cat to print things on our screen. We can use that arrow to print that same thing onto a file. I think we will do that in the exercise, I guess. This operators does the same function of this operator but appends the output rather than replacing. Means it adds, it does not overwrite. That is the difference between these two. Righty? This operator allows you to execute commands in the background. Let's say you want to copy a large file. That is obviously gonna take a quite long time and will leave us unable to do anything else until the file successfully copies. The AND shell operator allows us to execute a command and have it run in the background, such as this file copy, allowing us to do many other things. This is a bit misleading in the sense of how familiar it is to partner AND. Unlike the AND operator, we can use AND to make a list of commands to run. For example, command 1 and command 2. However, it's worth noting that command 2 will only run if command 1 is successful. It is like that Boolean logic, and if 1 1, then 1. If 1 either is 0, then the output will be 0. But over here, the output depends on the 1. In short, just remember, if the first command works, then only the second will work. This operator is what's known as output redirector. It essentially means we can take output from one command, we run and send it to output somewhere else. Okay, it says echo welcome and you send it to this variable, I think. I wanted to create a file. It is a file, sorry. Name welcome with the message hey. We can run hey like this and it will do the work, and this operator will append. First we created the file, entered this, and then we appended hello. If you wanted to run a command in the background, which operator will we use? And if you wanted to replace the contents of the file name passwords with the password, this, what would be my command? Here we're going to use the operator, that is this. Let's say we print it, but rather than printing it using echo, we redirect it to password 123. No, wait, password 123. You redirect it to passwords. Yes. Yeah, I think that is it. Yes, we have the file name password. We had to write this, so we, instead of printing it on the terminal, we wrote it into the file. Now, if I wanted to add TryHackMe to this file name passwords, but also keep this, what would be my command? We are going to use the double right arrow. We will say TryHackMe with this, writing it to the password file. Correct? Now use a deployed machine to put this into practice. Let us go to ls. First, we're gonna do echo hello and write it onto file. Now say cat file. It printed the hello that we wrote. Now we will append there onto the file with onto the file. Hello there. This we do cat command. Sorry, I didn't write the file name. My bad. Hello there. Alrighty. Next is conclusion and summaries. Nice work on getting to this stage. We got quite a bit for your first interaction with Linux. However, these are the most essential functions you're going to be using whenever you interact with a Linux machine. I hope this room hasn't been too daunting for you to power on through this. It's, as I previously mentioned, you're going to be familiar with these very quickly because of how often you're going to use them. To quickly recap, we have covered understanding why Linux is so commonplace today, interacting with your first ever Linux machine, ran some of the most fundamental commands, had an introduction to navigating the file system, power up your commands by learning some of the important shell operators. Then next, we will do Linux Fundamentals Part 2. So we're done with Linux Fundamentals Part 1. See you in Part 2.